Hi, I'm Dave Van Epps. I grew up in Rochester, New York, and I currently live in Harrison Township, Michigan. Growing up, life was all about me. I'd always believed that there is a God, but I was also pretty sure that God wanted nothing to do with me. I believed most of my life that the standard to get into heaven was based on following the Ten Commandments. I knew I had violated the Ten Commandments, and I believed that there was no hope. I'm going to go to hell someday, and there's really nothing I can do about it. So in 2010, I was in a pretty rough stretch of life. I had been through a divorce. My girls were teenagers, and I love them dearly, but they were teenagers. And my job at the time was nuts. I was working 70 to 80 hours, and everybody was just yelling all day long. It was very stressful, and I found myself in a dark place. I hadn't been to church in quite a while, and several people tried to get me to go to church. And one day, I attended a Bible-based church, and I heard the word of God like I hadn't heard before. And suddenly I wanted to go back and hear more. And the magic day was December 12th, 2010. And on that day when I went back, they were preaching from the book of Hosea. And the book of Hosea is about a story where Hosea has a wife named Gomer, and Gomer is constantly running away from Hosea. She's prostituting herself with other men, but somehow Hosea kept going back to her and calling her and saying, "Come home, be with me." And I sat there and listened to the story, and all I could think was, "Idiot, kick her to the curb. What's wrong with you?" And then the story took a 180, and they explained that Hosea is really a metaphorical story about God and his love. Sorry. I've never told my salvation story without tears.
It's okay.
I thought I'd do it today, but it wasn't. Okay. I had been running away from God all my life. And every time I thought that I would get close to God, I turned the other way. And I tried to replace God with God-like substitutes. Money, work, social activity, anything. But I suddenly realized that God didn't love me because of who I was. God actually loved me in spite of who I was. And in that moment, the weight of the world just came off my shoulders. I sat in the service and I literally sobbed for 30 minutes after the service. And one of my friends came up and said, "Hey, are you okay?" And I looked at him, I said, "Yeah, for the first time in my life, I'm going to tell you I'm okay." The church I was attending at the time was a great church. I really enjoyed it. I really got to know God. I obviously had my moment where I accepted Christ. I never really considered being baptized as an adult until I came over to Heritage. And the more we talked about the early days of Jesus and the early church, I learned more that as soon as people became believers, they were baptized. And I wanted to make that public statement to the world. And so shortly thereafter, I signed up and was baptized. It was so transformational in that everything that I had always believed was holding me down was gone. And I was new. And that was such a freeing, liberating, wonderful moment. I won't say life's perfect. It's not. I still have issues. I still have problems. I still have hang-ups. But you know what? I deal with them much better. I accept the chaos of life with a peace I never imagined possible. I take life's disappointments with a joy that only Jesus can bring. Maybe today's your day. Maybe you're considering, who is this Jesus guy and should I trust him? Maybe you're wondering if you should accept him as Lord of your life. And maybe you're even questioning if you should get baptized. And in all of those cases, I would say absolutely. And then fasten your seatbelt because he's going to take you on a wild ride.